Corinne Vella. She's the sister of the late Daphne Caruana Galizia. Corinne, thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World. Now, your family put out a press release criticizing the Prime Minister's decision not to resign immediately, but rather next year in January. Do you buy that the idea that he wants to give this time of more than a month and a half to his ruling party to come up with a quote-unquote successor?
He does not need to remain Prime Minister for his party to choose a successor. That is the point of having a Deputy Prime Minister, is that the Prime Minister leaves office and a Deputy Prime Minister can take over. It is really a means of buying time. The Prime Minister's former Chief of Staff, Keith Schembri, has been implicated in the assassination, identified by one of the suspects. That means the Prime Minister is now in a position of covering up for a man who was former Chief of Staff. His position has been intolerable for too long. He should be out of office immediately. Okay. He has no reason to stay, and he's a danger as long as he stays there.
So, do you think that he will use this time to use all legal remedies to ensure that he will not be implicated sometime in the future?
He has delayed his resignation to continue protecting himself and Keith Schembri. There's no alternative explanation.
Okay. Corinne, 8 months before your sister was tragically killed, she revealed that the former Energy Minister, Mr. Misi, and the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, Mr. Schembri, had become beneficiaries of a secretive offshore companies soon after entering office. Do you think that the buck stops there?
No, it doesn't. But Daphne hadn't actually identified the connection between them. That came after her death by a group of journalists called the Daphne Project. They identified the owner of the secret company called 17 Black. The buck doesn't stop there. The buck continues, and the evidence trace should be followed all the way to the end, and everybody involved in the assassination should face consequences. Only this morning, my sister's family filed a judicial protest asking for the Prime Minister to be removed from the investigation. Muscat has powers over the investigation as Prime Minister. This is at a time when his former Chief of Staff is implicated. So they have asked for him to be removed and for all the evidence involved to be protected.
Some would say that the European Union has been fairly quiet on this issue. Why do you think? I mean, isn't European democracy at stake here?
Certainly what's happening in Malta is going to affect the rest of the European Union. But it's not entirely correct to say that the European Union has been silent. At least the European Parliament has not been silent. There's a delegation arriving today, particularly because there is this crisis.
Okay. You've called the Prime Minister not Prime Minister, but you actually, in one of your previous tweets, you called him Crime Minister. If you had an opportunity to meet with him face to face, what was something that you would ask?
Get out of office. I won't have any questions. Just get out of office and allow the investigation to proceed impartially and independently. He should not even be in Parliament at this point.
Mm-hmm. You also have said that Joseph Muscat's propaganda, she said that, referring to the propaganda, she destroys people. I wonder to get your thoughts on that.
This was part of a propaganda campaign against Daphne. It lasted many, many years, but it escalated shortly before she died and continued even afterwards. Only today, the protest from Moria and Valletta demanding justice for her was cleared again, as it is every night. The propaganda has been horrendous. And we know that many of the stories that have been put about to distract attention from the real people who are involved in Daphne's murder. A lot of those rumors came from the Prime Minister's office, including the horrendous suggestion that her own son and husband are responsible for her death.
All right, Corinne Vella, the sister of the late Daphne Caruana Galizia, thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World. I do appreciate it.